And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I won't lie, I was really excited when I heard this game was coming out. Argent, the Consortium. This is from Trade Chambers, designed from Level 99. Level 99 is a company I really like their stuff. Pixel Tactics and War of Endines and Noir, just some really great games. And so I was really pumped when I heard they were making a worker placement game with special abilities and stuff. When I got the box, it was quite heavy. There's a lot of stuff in this box, and I'm not kidding. There is a lot, see? This is one of the boards that's used over the course of the game, and this board has a couple things. First, there's a track here for influence points. You'll start with 5 influence points, and every time you pass a multiple 7, you get a merit badge. But influence points will matter, but what matters more are these supporters here. There's 2 supporters that are in every game, and then the rest of the supporters, the other 10, are going to be face down out of 16 different supporters that can be there. Now, each supporter is going to give their influence to, or their vote to one of the players at the end of the game. So, to win this game, you need to win the most of these things. These are like goals. Like this one here gives it to whoever has the highest IP, the most influence points. This one here gives it to whoever has the most supporter cards. The rest of them are hidden, but there's a possibility you'll find them out as the game progresses. There are different things that will let you put a mark on someone, and that will let you look at their card. So this person here is whoever has the most consumable vault cards. So I can look at that one, and then maybe later on another player will look at this one here, and that will let them know whoever has the most gold will get this guy's vote at the end of the game. And of course, multiple people can look at the same ones. This one here, whoever has the most natural magic spell research and supporter cards. So basically, whoever has the most green cards at the end of the game. And so this is the main focus of the game, and this is what you're trying to do. Now, players are going to be building a board that they're going to be playing on. They're going to be placing mages on. And there's lots of different boards that players have, and each board has 2 different sides, A and B. And these 3 boards, the Infirmary, Council, and Library, are always going to be in the game. Now, what players are going to be doing on their turn? Players are going to have a mage card. This is going to show you all your different starting things. You have mana. This is a resource you'll be using to cast spells. You have money, which is what you buy things with. You have knowledge and wisdom. These are used also to help cast spells. You have marks. You'll be using these to put on the voters to find out what they want. But you'll also be starting with mages. Each person will start with a couple mages of their color, and like, for example, this is a gray mage, and if I pick this person, I would get some gray mages, and then I would put this thing here in the back of them to show that that's mine. This is a mage that I control. And they'll have these mages here, and you're able to put these mages out on the board in turn order. Basically, each turn, a player has an action, and one of their actions can be put a person out here on the board. Another action can be to use a spell, and there's other actions, and I'll mention those in a bit, but I want to talk about this. Each of these places you put it in, there's only spot for one person. There's a shadowing spot that you can use certain spells and abilities to get into those, and also the top spot, you need to spend a merit badge. Basically, merit badges refresh at the end of each turn, but there are merit badges, they give you better spots, and they'll give you better things if you get to the top there. Each color mage also has special abilities. There are gray mages, there's red mages, there are blue mages, there is a yellow mage, which is essentially just kind of a generic mage. He's no one special. He has no special ability, but you might have some of those for whatever reason. There are green mages, and there are purple mages. So here's a green, and here is a purple. Each of these mages has different special abilities. Those special abilities are shown by these cards, but all those cards can be flipped over too. The red mage, for example, on his A side, when you put a red mage out, you can spend 1 mana to basically wound someone, send them to the infirmary, and take their spot. On the other side, when you put a mage in a room, you'll get 1 mana for every other mage in that room. A green mage is immune to the red mage. He's immune to wounding, Or possibly when he goes to a room, you can move one of your other mages to another slot in the same room and take his place. So he can basically bump somebody out of a spot and move them to another spot in that room. The purple mage can be played as a fast action. What that means is I can place this mage out and then do another action, which might be to put another mage out. Or you can pay 1 blue mana when you place him out to shadow a mage. So I can put him here in the same spot as another mage is. The gray mage, when you put him out, and whenever you cast a spell, you can also put him out as a free action. So whenever I use a spell, I can also put out a gray one. Or while he's in a university slot that's not the infirmary, my spells cost 1 less mana. And then the blue mage is immune to basically other spells, or you can pay 3 gold to put him in the merit badge slots without having a merit badge. So each of these mages has different special abilities. What do the rooms do? In the council chamber, when you place people here, you're going to be able to choose from different things over here. Maybe you get to draft a supporter, and there's going to be supporter cards next to the board. These supporters are different colors. They match the different spell types, and that might matter to voters. Supporters are a one-time use thing. You can use them like this one gives you 2 marks. This gives you 3 mana. This lets you shadow an opponent's mage. This lets you choose a voter. Everyone puts a mark on that voter if they have not already done so. And so you can play these one time. You still get to keep them even after you play them for the end of the game. So the council chamber, here you can get those, or IPs, or get a mark to find out voters. Or over here you can draft a supporter or gain a mark. This one's in almost every game. Each player, depending on the mage you pick, has a spell that they can cast for a certain number of mana, usually as an action or a reaction, sometimes as a fast action. So you simply just pay the amount there and do it. Like, for example, this guy can banish a mage, send him back to his opponent. This guy can wound a mage and gain an IP. This guy can get 2 mana. His spell is free. But you'll want to get other spells over the course of the game, and so you'll use the library room to do that. Now, there are various spells that will be available at any given point, and a player is going to use research to get these spells. When you research, you can start research a new spell, which would require you to use one of your knowledge tokens and place it there. You take this in front of you, and you can cast this spell. For example, this one here is 1 mana, but for the rest of the round, all your other spells cost 1 less mana. The more research points I get, I can put wisdom tokens on this to use the higher levels. Here I can refresh another spell that I've already used. Here for a fast action, I can place a mage in any slot. If that slot's occupied, I wound the mage there and take his spot. There are spells that attack other players. Here, wound an opponent's mage, or wound a mage and then put someone else there. There are reaction spells that help you when someone else comes after you. Most of the spells seem to go after other mages, but there are things that also shield you. You're immune from opponent spells. Sometimes they just give you stuff. This spell gives you a mark, or 2 research. You can wound 2 people in the same room, or you can even place a lock marker on a room, which means nobody else can go in that room any longer. A vault is another room you can go to where you'll be able to get vault cards. Here you draw a vault card and gain 4 gold, or a vault card and gain 5 gold, or 3 gold. When you get a vault card, you'll be able to pick some in the face-up vaults. Some of the vault cards, like this one here, are treasures, which when you have them, you have a special ability that you can use when you essentially tap the card. Others are consumable, which means they're one-time uses, but once again, once you use them, they go to your own discard pile and count towards the end of the game. For example, if you had the person who wants the most consumable resources. And so when these are drawn, more artifacts will come, and then on this side there's going to be vaults, and you're going to be able to pick one of these as time goes by. Let's just take a look at some of the other rooms then. Here's one that gives you money or mana, your choice. Here's one that gives you can trade IP for money, or buy IP with money. This one here gives you intelligence or wisdom and research. This one gives you intelligence, wisdom, or mark. This one here gives you the Archmage. The Archmage is a special guy that if you manage to get a hold of him, he has all the powers. He has the blue, gray, purple, red, orange, well, that's from the expansion, and green powers. So you can immediately use him and put him out somewhere. This one here gives you new mages if you like to. This one here lets you buy different things, mostly artifacts. This gives a way to get mana. Here's a way to gain a secret supporter, where you get a supporter that no one knows what they are, and gold. So there's all sorts of things you have, but you also always have the infirmary where your wounded people go, but at least when they go there, you're going to get either 2 gold, a mana, or an IP. Now the game takes place over several rounds, and you keep track of them with these round cards, 1, 2, 3, and so on. An action that players can take, and there's all different actions. Your spell is an action when you tap one of them, putting a guy out on the board. But another action you take is taking one of these bell tower cards. There's a certain number, depending on how many players are in the game. This is a 4-player game here. So I can take this one, gives me 2 gold or a mana. This lets me heal a mage in the infirmary. This gives me an IP, and this means I go first next round. Once all 4 of these have been taken, the round is going to end. And then we go to the next round, and everything untaps. And after the final round, or if you want to play epic game, you can play 6 rounds. After the final round, you will then look at each of the voters, and whoever has met the most criteria is the winner. Now this is really kind of an interesting thing for me because there is a lot in this box, but there's a lot. I mean a lot. And I think that's going to be its greatest asset and the game's greatest weakness. Let me explain. First of all, the game is 2 to 5 players. I don't know that I will play with more than 3 ever again. Maybe 4, but I'll never play 5. The expansion adds a 6-player. Okay? No, the game is already long enough, and that's not just that the game is long. It takes up a huge amount of table space. There is so much used. The spell cards, I mean, look how big these spell cards are. You know, they are this big, and you will have multiple in front of you, and you'll also have this in front of you. You'll have the board. You'll have all kinds of piles of stuff everywhere. There's a lot of table space involved in this. But the game also can be very long with 5 players. Now, the game has some really cool things to it. I like the spells. I like how there's different spells available. I like the artifacts. I like the followers. I love the endgame conditions where you're not sure what you're trying to go for. And I really like that each mage has a specialty to it. That's a pretty cool thing. The game has huge amounts of replayability where you can flip over every building, and you're only going to use, let's say you're playing a 3-player game, you only use 8 of the buildings, and there's way more than 8, and they all have 2 sides. So the combinations are endless. The different mages, the powers they have, the spells that show up, the artifacts that show up, the followers that show up. There's just so much involved, and the victory conditions are going to be different. Now, IP is a tiebreaker, so that's an important victory condition to make sure you have. But other than that, it's, you got to try to figure out what are you trying to do. Get gold, get this, what have you. So there's this ton of variety, a ton of stuff in the box, and I think ultimately that will hurt the game slightly. Now, this is going to sound a little bit negative, and I don't mean to be negative here because I like the game, but it's almost as if they designed a game for Tom Vasel. They're like, hey, let's put everything in the box. But I think sometimes cutting some stuff would have been better. This game is going to be incredibly hard for people to open the box and play because there's just so much, it's so overwhelming. And because every game has so many different things and so much going on, you're going to be constantly stopping and pausing and saying, what can I do? And I like that, but I'm afraid, and actually I've experienced with people saying, wow, it's too much going on. Another thing people won't like about this game is it's really in your face. I mean, you can really mess people over with those red mages and spells, and you can blow people out of rooms and things. And so some people aren't going to really appreciate that. Other people will like it. But again, there's all that going on. I think this game could have been streamlined. I think they could have said, let's cut out something, and it probably would have run better. As it is, I really do like the game, but I like it. I'm saying I like it, but I can see the flaws. I think it could have been better. I mean, it's really fun and really great, but man, it could have been like one of the best worker placement games ever. As it is, it's merely a very good candidate, and some people are just going to find it too sprawling. Components, amazing. Although I still have no idea how they're supposed to fit in this box. There's a plastic insert, and I can't figure out how they go in it. But there's a ton of things in this game, and I think that's great. And I think basically whether you will like it will depend on that. If you're like me and you like Duel of Ages with a gabillion different things, this will be right up your alley. But for people who want kind of a focused game and at least some semblance of just not huge amounts of different options, this will probably be overwhelming for them. I certainly recommend that you try it if you like worker placement games. But I really think people are going to be divided on this, with some folks really liking it, like myself, but also realizing it's going to be harder to get other people to play it because every time they're going to have to stop and read 600 different options as you play the game. Still, though, pretty cool, a neat production. It just could have been a little better. Dice Tower Judgment, approved.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Zamknij drzwi!
Gdzie?